What's good, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Full Circle. I'm your host, as always, Harmon Jr. Please feel free to find me at Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media websites, showing the love, all the support. We have a good time. As you know, everyone, I like to bring on new guests always. We have returning guests, but I always like to bring on new faces from new places. And this week is no different. We have our first timer. We have the great, the one and only, Gabe Moss. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Odell. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. We're almost through January, people. One more week, essentially. One more week. We just gotta hold out. We're almost there. We're at the finish line.
Almost over.
Yeah. Maybe we'll make it without having a heart attack. Who knows?
I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad you are. And Gabe, real quick, just in case the people at home do not know, who are you and what do you do?
I am Gabe Moss, and I am a freelance writer. I do a bunch of guides. I do a bunch of reviews. I do some crit here and there. I do some commerce there. I also like to make music for fun. But yeah, I'm just riding the waves.
Riding the waves, riding the sounds. I like how you threw it like also, I got a music career on the side. I'm just saying, people. I'm just saying.
I got to do an indie game last year, so I am pretty well experienced.
Oh, okay, sir. What indie game was that?
It's still it was an unannounced game last year, and it's still unannounced. So
my bad. I got it. Professionality.
But it does exist. It does exist. I promise.
All right, when I see you at the Game Awards for best soundtrack, I'll be like, I already knew. Y'all might not have knew, but I knew.
Well, yeah, I'll be at the Game Awards for sure.
Definitely. But as always, everybody, we got some great topics for you this week to get lost in the sauce. And I know what you're thinking. Some people hit me up, and I always do this. And they're like, Odell, how'd you not talk about that big news from last week? And I'm like, cuz I have a recording schedule. And if I wake up after an episode is recorded and some big catastrophic news happens, I'm not re-recording the show. It would have to be like amazeballs for me to re-record the show. It would have to be something stupid, spectacular. And that's not happening until Nintendo announces their next console on Tuesday at 4 p.m. because why not?
I made a joke about how you're going to wake up today and it was going to be like, oh, the news today is Microsoft's purchased Square Enix and Sega.
Oh, man. I would have been like, you know what, people? We're just having a Microsoft rules the world special. That would have been called, that's special territory. But as you guessed, the people, yes, we're going to be talking about the acquisition. Microsoft got War Daddy Books. Big Daddy War... Oh, wait. Is his name War Books?
They do.
Wait. It's War Books, right, from Annie? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, all right, is his name actually Roberto? Okay, anyway, they got money, people. Screw the analogies. They got money. So much you don't need one. The new analogy is I got Microsoft money. But before that, before that, we're going to be talking about video game anniversaries. And after that, we're going to be talking about Netflix and gaming again, only because they're doing some more stuff. I know I said that out of order, but screw it. We're kicking the show off with video game anniversaries. And Gabe, as we know, when something is created, it gets an anniversary. And usually, that's, you have something special like a birthday or a gimmick or a sale in the media showcase. And, I feel like back in the day, video game anniversaries didn't matter. One, because no one knew when they were. The average person did not know. To be honest, I do not know. But the internet likes to remind us of things. And if you remember last year before, honestly, since 2020, it feels like every major Nintendo franchise game had an anniversary, and everybody assumed that something amazing was going to happen, and then it never did. And then the things we got, people were upset. And recently, 3-4 days ago, as of recording, Super Smash Bros. Had its 23rd anniversary. Nothing was announced or nothing was planned. And now I'm really thinking, do video game anniversaries really matter? Or are we just self-imposing for the game industry to do something every time a game or series has a birthday?
Well, I can tell you a personal anecdote about how I'm 3 days older than Doom.
Oh.
Exactly 3 days older, because Doom came out on December 10th, 1993. My birthday is December 7th. But yeah, I mean, my opinion about video game birthdays is that I think that, if it's special to you in particular, then you should go ahead and celebrate it. But like maybe if a publisher is doing something every year, it gets a little too much.
Yeah. What about on the 0 and 5s?
Yeah, I like the 0 and 5s for sure. I feel like that's like the most like substantial anniversary date. So like if it's a 0 and a 5, 100%. But like if it's every year, is it still like? Because there's like a lot of anniversaries every year, like there's a lot of video games out there that have birthdays. It's like, can I celebrate a different birthday every single day? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's so weird because it's, if I actually looked this up, if you look when major announcements were made, like the next insert game here, it's never on the video game's anniversary or like even a day that's special to the game. I'm sure it's just like, hey, bro, let's look at our marketing calendar. Let's announce Legend of Zelda 2 on July 8th because ain't nothing else going on. All right, cool, let's do it.
Well, like, I mean, you could just basically predict like the next game of the series by the birthdays, basically. If you're like, oh, the next Mass Effect will be announced on N7 Day. It's just like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not how it actually works, but yeah, I mean, for like the marketing aspect of it, it makes sense to do something for every anniversary. But I don't know. Like, I feel like, do fans get sick of these birthdays, or do fans care about them as much? Or
I think it's one of those things where. So I'll talk about this a lot in the industry. How much of it is things that companies did intentionally, or self-imposed things that were created by the fans? For example, N7 Day, was that actively done by BioWare, or did fans just wake up one day and was like, "It's November 7th. That's an N and a 7." This is Mass Effect Day. We made it a thing. We deemed it so. And BioWare's like, well, I mean, I guess. Sure, why not? Give us money.
I just looked it up. So Mass Effect 1 didn't even come out on November 7th. It came out on the 16th. So it must have been like a fan-made thing or like a marketing thing. They were just like, oh, N7, we released our game in November. We can do an N7 Day. Yeah, I literally thought that it was the actual release date until just a second ago when I Googled it.
Oh yeah, no, I knew it definitely was not the release date. I'm pretty sure it's just happenstance because November is a high volume release month, especially for AAA games. And
yeah, of course.
It's just interesting. So okay, with the Nintendo situation, I'm on both sides of it. One, I'm like, okay, I guess they should do something for Mario and Zelda, but at the same time, it's like, are they required to? Does Mario being 35 mean they gotta stop the presses and do like everything Mario?
I mean, that is a pretty significant birthday because Mario was like the first big Nintendo game that came out like at the very onset of like before Mario, like there was like a huge crash in gaming. Like Atari failed horribly, so like it makes sense that Mario would get like a proper 35th anniversary.
It does, but so here's the thing: people are gonna call me a hypocrite, and I'm gonna stop them before they do, because they're gonna be like, "Oh, Dale, Pokemon celebrates its like every birthday, and it's amazing, and you have like a Pokemon month, and you're gonna do one next month, probably." Yeah, I am. People already got it planned. I don't care. I do what I want. My show. But here's the thing: I think I came up with the reason why gaming as a whole doesn't get celebrated, or why certain games get celebrated, as in they have a special day, or they celebrate pretty much every anniversary that they can, is because the game has to exist in such a way. Mario falls in this category too, but still Mario's still mainly a game. It has to be, the IP has to become more than gaming. And yes, this applies to Mario, but what I mean by that, Pokemon the brand is so much more than in the video game. It's all encompassing.
Oh yeah.
I
grew up with the TV shows and the toys they had at McDonald's meals, the Happy Meal toys, like the cards, the like all the stuff they sell you, like the Pokeball Plus, all that stuff is just so much more than like a single. And the fact that you get to keep your collection from game to game, like it's so much more than just like a game. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're good, because you're exactly right. And if you think about something like Mario, for example, for the 35th anniversary, people are expecting like game stuff. But like if they're like, hey, happy Mario 35th anniversary, here's a Mario plush, people aren't gonna rush out to buy that. I mean, some will, but people are gonna be like, you slap, here's the Pokemon whatever, 19 people are gonna be like 9.
I think it's just because Pokemon's just around collecting. Like, the whole appeal of it is like you're collecting all the stuff, like all the Pokemon. So you're collecting all the toys, you're collecting all the cards, you're collecting all this stuff on the side of like what you actually do inside the games. And it builds like you get more excited about the games because you're like so invested into that universe that like it's like I'm gonna catch all the new Pokemon, like add that to my collection. Like I'm gonna get all the new cards. I'm gonna I'm gonna add the new plushies to my Pokemon plushie collection. It's like Mario doesn't have nearly that level of like merchandising and like interconnectivity between each of its installments. Like you're not gonna have like a whole collection of Mario. Maybe you do. I don't know. Like I don't have one myself, but like it's not as common as like it's not the main appeal of it. So like I feel like a Mario plush is like if you're a really big fan of Mario, it's gonna be it's a cool, nice to have thing. But like, man, you're not gonna get anywhere near as like the Pokemon fandom does with their stuff.
Yeah, and then even if you think back to Mass Effect, they can release a body pillow and it sells out and it can sell out in minutes. Which I didn't buy one. I thought about it, but I didn't. I got self-control. If it wasn't okay, I've never had a body pillow. But man, a Talizora body pillow, I don't know. I probably still wouldn't. But it's the only body pillow I've ever seen where I was like, I don't know.
You just put the funniest image in my head. Dude, you know what? Like, I'm just going to go out and get a Rex body pillow.
I don't know if they had one, but I mean, you will feel protected sleeping with a Rex body pillow, I must admit.
That is the selling point. I'm just gonna pile up I got a Garrus body pillow on one side, I got a Rex body pillow on the other side, and I got a freaking like a Grunt body pillow. Like that, you know what? I'm disappointed that doesn't exist, or I don't know where it is on the internet.
Yeah, they have a Garrus and a Tally one. Those are the only two. Those are the only official ones. I'm pretty sure the other ones exist, but they're not official.
Not official, not yet.
Yeah. I feel like Rex body pillow could almost be sold as like a security thing. Like, why get ADT when you can get a Rex body pillow?
There should be like a Thane body pillow. It's like, I don't know, just like the fact that that's just like not a character you'd think of as like a fluffy character. That's I feel like what would even be better than that would be like a Dragon Age body pillow for like Iron Bull or like. Have you played Dragon Age Inquisition?
Oh wait, I lied. There is a Thane body pillowcase. Official one. All right, hold on. I've not played Dragon Age. I don't know any of the characters you mentioned. I will not know who they are.
It's okay.
But I believe you.
Okay.
I know somebody's probably like, "What? You haven't played? I thought you were a gamer."
Well, you played The Witcher series, right?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, now they're going to be even more angry.
Yeah, now I'm just lost listeners. Thank you, Gabe. Yeah. Okay.
It's like, all right. But you've at least played Baldur's Gate, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Just going to go back in time with like the whole list of Bioware RPGs. You played KOTOR, right?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, yeah. Same.
It has a remake now, people, so I probably will. It's on Switch. I have no lies. Shout out to my friend Sergio. He's always like, "Hey, Knights of the Old Republic is on Switch." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And then a week will go by and he'll be like, "Man, you know what's really good? Knights of the Old Republic on Switch." And like he just keeps telling me that. And like I think subconsciously I'm just gonna buy it. Like I'm gonna be bored and be like, "Hey, Knights of the Old Republic is on Switch," and then it'll be a done deal. But I just looked it up. Officially on the BioWare store, you can get a Talizora body pillow, a Garrus Vicarian body pillow, or a Thane body pillow.
See, I didn't think of Thane as like an actual body pillow that could actually be in reality. I was like making a joke, and it just manifested itself.
Yeah, there you go. Ask and you shall receive.
Ask and you shall receive. Thane body pillow doesn't make sense in my head, but it does apparently make sense to BioWare's merchandising team.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about body pillows, but but yeah, so
they're nice. They're nice. They're nice though.
They are nice, right? Like they're classy. You know, they're not like, you know, it's the right amount of sensual yet sophisticated.
Sensual yet sophisticated, and just looking nice as Thane and Garrus and Tally usually do in their usual spacesuits, and you just pile them together with your Halo gear and just like have like a sci-fi bedroom, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Great idea.
Yeah.
The point you are making here is video game anniversaries or days are only celebrated if you can move merch. If you can't move merch, you're not getting nothing.
Well, I mean, like, seriously, though, I feel like, you know, the fans are going to make it what they're going to make it. Like, it depends on the fandom for each game. Like, some fandoms, or, you know, some fan bases are going to be a little bit more active in, like, how they receive an anniversary. Like, I feel like the Final Fantasy XIV fan base will, like, eat up every single thing and, like, go for like all the different kinds of community stuff and fan art and, you know, fan celebrations, and like it really depends on like what kind of atmosphere each game is built around its fan base. And like, yeah, like there's a lot of love for like Mass Effect and for, like I mentioned, Halo, and like, you know, I don't really know the Mario fan base well enough or the Smash fan base well enough to comment on like, you know, if it should have a real anniversary celebration, because you did mention earlier, like it really is up to the fans.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you know, I really think, okay, yeah, it'll be cool for it to be like, okay, here's the anniversary, here's the HD remake of said game. But sadly, you know, given the nature of how long it takes to make a game and the resources and time you have to pour into it, it's just so unrealistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even for something like Pokemon, where you could be like, oh, well, of course when people buy a remake of any game, it doesn't matter, any generation. It's like, but, you know, the team at Game Freak is, you know, always, I feel the team at Game Freak is always making the next Pokemon game in some way, shape, or form. And I don't think, you know, if they didn't plan to make, you know, Let's Go Johto or what have you, they can't realistically be like, all right, you guys start making this remake that will sell like hotcakes.
I'm glad that they're doing something a little bit different with Legends Arceus. I feel like it's been asked for a long time by the fan base, just to have some sort of like open world, maybe action instead of turn based. You know, it's turn based this time, but like a little bit more open, a little bit more free flowing. Like if you were to take the wild area from Sword and Shield and make that the whole game, like I feel like that's a deviation enough from what they've done in the past to make me like way more interested by this installment as opposed to like, you know, Brilliant Diamond, or, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's weird because I always tell people, I'm like, I don't know if to classify this as a core game or not. Like, is it a spinoff? Or is it like it? I guess time will tell ultimately. I feel like we can't classify it yet until we see what comes next.
Yeah, it's like too much of a deviation from the core games to be considered like what would be traditionally core game. Or it could be like they're gonna start moving in this direction in general, but like, you know, it's too early to tell. And I really hope that it makes some sort of like meaningful change in the series, so it's not like the same game every single time, like we were talking about a little bit earlier before this. But like, yeah, like it feels like maybe if it's received a certain way, then this will become like a mainline game.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
Yeah, I think the only thing we can all agree on at this point is it's an experiment to see what they're going to do next. Like, I really feel this is a testing ground for Gen 9. I'm not saying Gen 9 probably won't be this, you know, it won't be the Pokemon attacking you and all that. Clearly, you know, the setting, it makes sense given the setting that, you know, Pokemon are acting the way they do. You know, it's before the quote-unquote civilized Pokemon world. But this could clearly be like, can this system exist in the future and work well? Because people, you know, they keep cragging on the graphics, and I get it. They do look bad. I'm not going to pretend. But I feel like this game was never meant to be nothing than like, you know, a litmus test for the public. So I really feel like maybe I could just be making excuses. I'm aware that they didn't care about certain things because this game was never meant to be more than, you know, the litmus test.
Yeah. I'm also curious about like what kind of Pokemon Home integration it might have. Like, I don't know, because they were talking about having, you know, you were able to like maybe like have your Pokemon that you catch in Arceus be transported back to Pokemon Home, but there was never any like any more like details over than that, or other than that. And it's like I'm curious to like if I can like have my team from Sword and Shield, and bring them over to Arceus. Like that's something that I've been trying to look into, and I'm just like curious about that in specific.
I'm gonna say the answer is a hard no. One, because I'm like, how do you introduce new Pokemon in a quote unquote non-mainline game? I'm like, that's just wild.
Yeah.
So like either one or two things are gonna happen. These Pokemon died out, they went extinct or something crazy like that, and we just ignore their existence. Or like they're gonna have to do some mental gymnastics of how these Pokemon are gonna work going forward. But you know what? This is not the time to talk about that. I will talk about Pokemon forever. So you know what we can't talk about? We're gonna talk about Activision, Microsoft. Gabe, you got my brain spinning. I gotta stop myself. I gotta be an adult. An adult knows when it's time to stop talking about Pokemon, and I am an adult.
We'll do it live. Yeah, let's talk about Activision.
All right, people. So unless you've been under a rock or you don't follow gaming, but you listen to the show for some wild reason, thank you, but that's wild. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard for 69 point something billion with a dollars. Yes, that's billion with a B. I don't know if that's like the biggest media acquisition to date, but hell, it sounds like it in terms of the numbers.
It's the biggest in games media, or it's the biggest in the games industry. It's smaller than the Disney acquisition for Fox. I think that was like, I'll have to look that up, but it is like the second biggest, I think, at least in recent.
It's wild, and you know, it's fundamentally changed the game industry. I say fundamentally. Ultimately, we don't know. I mean, but in theory, this is fundamentally going to change, you know, the industry for a number of years going forward. We don't know how, we don't know in what ways exactly, but something.
So I did my homework. And I found out that so this is actually like very close to the Disney acquisition price. So Blizzard, Activision Blizzard was purchased for what, like 68.7 billion. That's second to Disney purchasing Fox for 71 billion. So it's just like a few billion. But we're close to the top here.
They were close.
Yeah,
they were neck and neck with that one. And all right, so I'm gonna say I was right, even though I've yet to be proven right, because I've talked about this ad nauseum to some degree on many different platforms, that I said we're going to see the death of multi-platform in gaming. For this argument, I'm excluding PC. Like, I'm going to say console exclusivity to be exact. So just know when I say multi-platform, I'm talking specifically on consoles. I said I can see a world where we enter where no game is multi-platform. And now, you know, 1 month. No. Gabe, 1 week from today, if 1 week I went out and tweeted that Call of Duty will become a console exclusive, people would have laughed at me and told me, go get my head checked because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's how soon, a statement that I've said before, if I would have repeated that 1 week ago, people would have been like, you're insane. And here we are. and here we are. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna get off my high horse. All I'm saying is you gotta trust your gut sometimes. But yeah, Gabe, we could potentially. People say we won't. You know, once the contracts run out, I mean, there's nothing to keep Microsoft from saying Crash will never be on PlayStation, Spyro will never be on PlayStation, Call of Duty will never be on PlayStation, Overwatch will never be on PlayStation. You know, the list goes on and on and on.
I think that the size of Microsoft, which is like what the market cap of like, I think it was something around like 2 trillion. I might be wrong, but the sheer size of Microsoft means that they're playing in such a different ball field, and like with such draconian rules that like don't make sense to the average person. Like, it's hard to be able to say like, oh, they won't make Call of Duty an exclusive because they need the money from the PlayStation user base. No, they don't. They don't need that money. They they are in so much. They're just such a place. Like the difference between Sony and Microsoft is so much that like they could just win this war of attrition against Sony and get people to eventually buy into Xbox. So like, we're not going to factor in the PlayStation user base at all because we're just going to make everyone move to Xbox. So like they might be playing fast and loose. It feels like they're playing, I saw I think it was Phil Spencer who came out and said, right now we don't have any reason to make Call of Duty a console exclusive. He could be playing fast and loose and whatever. Like, I don't necessarily believe what's said about this because I'm looking at the sides of the companies and I'm looking at like what strategy is actually viable. And like with Microsoft, it's Pandora's box. Like they can get away with pretty much anything. I think they can't get away with buying out like Japanese publishers or Japanese developers, but they can get away with pretty much anything. So I don't think that there's enough information right now to make like a conclusive statement on like whether Call of Duty is going to be an exclusive, but I think it is going to be an exclusive eventually.
Yeah, most definitely. I honestly feel like because there was articles about it recently over the weekend about how Sony the rhetoric is they were demanding that that these games contracts be upheld, which I'm sure they will be. I don't know the legality of each contract, but I'm pretty sure Microsoft is cool enough, the Xbox team is cool enough to do that. But it's more if you read into it and how things went, it was more of Sony. It sounded more like a plea than a demand. Like, please uphold your end of the contracts. Like, because I know in business sometimes this again, people. I'm speaking loosely here. This isn't like ironclad. But when their acquisition happens, there are some clauses in contracts that the new owner doesn't have to honor essentially deals made between the previous owner. Again, that gets against the specific legality. But, once the contract is up, clearly, they can do whatever they want. And I'm just saying, from a pure business move, Microsoft probably wouldn't. Because, okay, I think about something like Banjo-Kazooie, right? That's inertly like a Nintendo property. Not really, but that the heart of Banjo is with Nintendo. And it's a
Microsoft series, right?
Yeah, it's owned by because Microsoft owns Rare.
Yeah.
So because of that.
It should have been Smash Bros. I was like, wait, is it actually owned by Microsoft? Am I just imagining that?
Yeah, no, they actually own it. But that's remember we got to play it in Rare Replay, and then they made Nuts and Bolts, which was horrible. Ugh. But because of the love for the series and where its roots is, they did stuff like, yeah, you can be in Smash. But if you think of things like Spyro and Crash and Call of Duty, that's not inertly like, oh man, this is PlayStation. That's just more like games that were on PlayStation.
Yeah. And
Nintendo is proof that, bro, you can get by a lot in the industry with these properties only belong on our console.
Like, it's interesting to think about like how Spyro and Crash Bandicoot could how that becomes like an Xbox exclusive in the future, when it's like that used to be PlayStation's mascot. Like it feels like a lot of these acquisitions are kind of like they're doing a good job of kind of driving heart into the fear of like Sony and PlayStation fans. But I'm just very curious to see how that actually ends up playing out with the Eastern publishers specifically, because while PS1 was also I played when I was little, I played it like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, games like that, like I just mentioned. But like I also played a lot of JRPGs like Final Fantasy and like Legend of Legaia, which I've revisited this past week. And that feels like that was Sony's niche before it kind of took this turn towards Western games. And it seems like that's going to be one of its saving graces, even if Microsoft, quote unquote wins the console war. Does that track?
Yeah, no, completely. It like you said, it's Pandora's box, and my phrase would be, it's the Wild Wild West again. It's there are no rules. We're making it up as we go.
It's like the rules that we thought applied no longer apply.
Yeah, considering another thing I've said, and you've touched on this, is that I really feel like what we're going to end up with is a West versus East type of thing where Microsoft could buy and own pretty much, unless they're already in bed with Sony, every Western developer. It wouldn't get the Japanese ones, not because they didn't have the money to, but just because fundamentally Japanese and Eastern developers operate on a different wavelength than Western ones, typically speaking. How they conduct business, how they make their games. I'm sure they could get a Japanese studio or two, but they would probably never get the likes of like Square or Capcom, nothing associated with Nintendo, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But, they could clearly, any Western company where it's just like, bro, you throw enough dollar signs our way, we'll do anything you want.
Yeah, so then you could see it being like, if Microsoft was just insatiably hungry and they were just going to buy everything, which I don't necessarily know is the case either, because it's like, we're both saying, like, it's Pandora's box, it's the Wild West, like, nothing's set in stone. But, like, if they were to, just think about it this way. Like, imagine if they were, like, buy game studios like Larian, or if they were to buy, like, CD Projekt Red or something. Like, those are technically not off the table, or, like, to be even, like, more, I guess, like, unconventional, like, if they were to acquire Zaum or something like that. Like, that, the fact is that, like, we just don't know. Like, what is their strategy? We have no clue. And it's just very interesting to watch this play out, because, like, until now we haven't seen anything like this besides when Disney purchased Fox. Like, this is just the new territory, and it's just like this past week,
Yeah, and just let's use that as an example. What happened once previous contracts started rolling out? How much stuff left Netflix? Like,
oh my god!
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Think about it.
That was when things started to really break up, and you started to see a lot of different streaming services, wasn't it?
Yeah, because basically, I'm not saying this. The other people are like, "Yo, crap, we gotta do something about this. Like, anything that's not owned by Disney needs to be like tied down to the floor."
Dude, that's not gonna stop Microsoft, though. I mean, the only thing that's gonna stop them is like laws, like individual laws from different companies or different countries. I just mixed companies and countries up. My bad. But yeah, like, it's just super. It's interesting because I'm like looking at this as from like the war map perspective. Like, what could they do next? Like, what might they do next? And like, what might that cause? Like, what fluctuations will that happen? Will happen if they were to like buy this company over here? And it's like, I hate it at one point because I don't like the market consolidation, but from like a completely detached and almost like top-down point of view, it's just really interesting to theorize.
Yeah, man,
because it can go in so many different directions,
The crazy thing is, I used to say this all the time. You know how Amazon has been trying to get into gaming for a long time. It's pretty much failed at every turn. Like,
yep.
Do you know what an Amazon Luna is? If you don't, I don't blame you.
Amazon Luna?
Yeah. I was asking the audience, but if you don't know what Amazon Luna is, it is Amazon's version of Stadia.
I didn't actually know it existed.
Yeah, no, you can Google it right now. Amazon Luna. It's just imagine Stadia except worse and owned by Amazon.
Yeah, I had no clue that existed until just a second ago when you mentioned it.
Yeah, and Amazon has a game studios that was going to release a hero shooter. I forgot the name of it, but they were going to release a hero shooter. They announced it and then immediately pulled the plug on it.
You're talking about Crucible, right?
Yeah.
Crucible. Yeah. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I've always said Amazon has Warbucks money. Why don't they just buy people and just be like, this is Amazon now, and then just keep it pushing? And they never did. I don't know why. I don't know who's in charge of that. But clearly that's what you needed to do. Microsoft did it, and then they kept doing it, and now we're all scared. I mean, we're not actually scared, but someone is scared. Not the consumers, but someone is definitely scared.
Amazon's trying though. They purchased they didn't. I don't think they purchased the development. They are publishing a Korean MMORPG called Lost Ark. And they're it's not by Amazon Studios, but it is being published to them in the West. So they handle the localization. I think entirely in house. And like that's basically their version of like buying a studio and like. But it feels, it's nothing like what Microsoft's been doing. They're not buying entire studios to have that studio be under their flag. It's definitely like it feels like Amazon's kind of dipping their toe in the water and like, oh, do a localization here, do a game release over here, and they don't have to put the resources in to develop it. They can take the game that already exists and take the fan base that already exists, and that's definitely more of a conservative approach. That is like more in line with what you'd expect a publisher to do, versus like Microsoft just like buy everything and come what may.
Yeah, and, I mean, but sadly for that reason, I don't think you can play the conservative game and have any type of success, long-term success, definitely in the industry. Because again, you people, you already know, I'm not a fan of Google Stadia. I called it a bust since day one. I remember being at E3 when it was announced, and I was just like, this is a bust in the making, and everyone called me crazy, but whatever, here we are. And and then Microsoft again, with XPlay, not XPlay, what do they call their streaming? Their web browser streaming, and is it XCast? xCloud. There we go.
xCloud.
Yeah. Something with xCloud gaming, now it seems like things like Google Stadia and Luna it's a lost cause, and unless you're going to plan on buying an established studio, it's also a lost cause. Like Microsoft took such an initiative to where, like, if I was Google and Amazon or just someone else with the money to do something, I wouldn't even try. Like, the market's tapped. Like, the only person who can make considerable moves would be Sony. Which I don't know what they have planned. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year if we saw some type of merger, and by merger, acquisition, whatever language you want to call it, but someone basically being tied to Sony.
They are trying VR. I mean, they're definitely doing stuff that Microsoft is actively avoiding, but I don't know if VR is gonna have the same kind of market impact that would push them out of danger's way.
I would say no, because at this point, I would say VR has been good. It's been good for a while now. Like back in when it first started, it was kind of gimmicky, but now I say, if someone says you can pay, you will make a VR version of Metal Gear Solid, and you can play it full VR. That's not wishful thinking. Everyone's like, yeah, you could probably do that. We've seen enough games transition to VR, enough games successfully just be a VR game of its own right. Just fine, so I feel like that's not unbelievable. But since VR hasn't really, I mean, I don't want to say taken off, because there is a market, and clearly things with the Oculus always coming out, and those according to the numbers sell well and people enjoy them. Whether they just use it to exercise or not. Like, but VR isn't that next step in gaming. It's just not.
I agree. I feel like VR, because I used to be I wouldn't say like a VR journalist. I've always been a games journalist with I had a focus on VR, almost like an entire focus on VR for like the first 2 years I was here as a freelancer, and in that time I watched the audiences at the different VR websites I would freelance at grow from like it was like 10,000 to 100,000. I'm seeing like one of the most popular sites is Upload VR, and it has like 6 million monthly users, or even more than that now. Or like it has numbers along those lines. I'm not sure if those numbers are exact, but I've watched this audience grow. It's definitely significant, but you're talking about Sony versus Microsoft. That is significant, but I don't think it's significant enough to, we're not at like World of Warcraft numbers here. Like we're talking about like, millions, a couple million, 10 million, more than that maybe, but like, Sony can try, and Sony's going to do what it does. It's going to come up with new ways to play games and new peripherals. It's done a good job with like the DualSense controller, but all of these things in comparison, just the sheer weight of what Microsoft is putting together right now with its deep pockets, it feels like it's just holding off the inevitable. it feels like Sony is eventually just going to be forced to, like you said, do some sort of merger or acquisition, or they're just going to have to take the L. Like I don't like I love PlayStation, but I don't have a ton of faith in PlayStation for this specific generation. And after that, I really don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Like, I've been, I wouldn't say I was a Sony pony, as the saying goes, but I definitely played. Like, I've been Sony and PlayStation, and then the only time I would ever turn on my Xbox unless I had to, like, Ori was an exclusive for a while, so I turned on my Xbox for that. I got to turn on my Xbox for Halo, but other than the Halo, Gears of Wars, it was like those. I never thought. Having an Xbox always seemed like a bad investment, even though I knew I would get one. Just the sheer nature of what we do, I'm going to need one for one reason or another.
Oh, I want to make a quick correction. I just said 6 million views. No, it's like 2.5 million on average right now for that specific upload VR site, which is a huge deal from where VR was before.
Yeah.
But again, like Sony is going to do what it can to make the PSVR 2 great, and it's going to do whatever it can to make its exclusives great. And for now, it's doing what it can. But like, I don't think any of us saw what happened this past week with that acquisition.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy. That was out of the blue.
Yeah, now I think about it, after the failure of Kinect, and people, the Kinect was a failure. Don't come at me.
Yeah.
It was a failure. Be real with yourself. I think Microsoft was just like, we're good on this. We're good on all of that. We're just gonna take the L on that and just keep it pushing forward.
Exactly. What's interesting is that Microsoft really, we didn't see any of this happen in the Xbox One generation. Like, they had some interesting ideas, like back in, I think it was like the Kinect era, and it feels like that kind of blew up, and then it just fizzed out, and then they kind of sunk into their corner essentially, and they let the PS4 take the prize home for last generation, and we didn't really expect too much from Microsoft after that, and now look at where we are.
Yeah, because I think we're gonna get like a documentary or something, or something. Hey, that's gonna be the day when we're really old, when they're making game documentaries about all these happenings. But we're gonna get an article or something. And people, as much as an echo chamber the internet can be in a hub of toxicity, I'm pretty sure they all hear us. They hear the talking points, and I know people at Microsoft and Xbox had to hear us for years. Basically, essentially, since the Xbox debut. Oh, it's a tech company trying to be a gaming company. Oh, they're not in it for the games, they're just in it for the money. Oh, look at all this hardware, but what's so good when you don't have software? And I just think over the years, somebody at Xbox, Microsoft Xbox, they're unanimous. I mean, synonymous for this conversation, but it's like someone must have really went, guys, we have the money to do whatever we want. Yeah, we can make that. We can sell the Xbox at a loss, and it doesn't really matter. But how serious do we want to be as a gaming company, looking purely at Xbox and not as being a computer? How serious do we want to be? And yeah, Game Pass is great, but even beyond it, someone had to be like, okay, we're gonna have Game Pass, but that's not really nothing new. We're just providing a service. We're still just a machine that provides services. Someone, I don't know if it was Phil Spencer or someone else, really wanted to be like, I want the Xbox to be synonymous with gaming. I want the Xbox to truly be somewhere, because their tagline has always been like the best place to play or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
And I always felt like when oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna do my homework real quick just to make sure.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was their tagline or something like that. But I always felt like it was a lie wherever the tagline was, and I think someone truly took it to heart and was like, guys, I want us to actually be the best place to play. And I don't know how many years in the making all this was, but I think Microsoft just decided, like, we can't be Nintendo. That's for damn sure, because no one can.
Right.
We can't beat Sony in the exclusive game because, it's an art form that they've worked hard to get to. So we're just going to do something drastic. We're just going to have to be the people who are already there. And we can do that with money. And they did. Because they want to be taken serious, which I respect.
So Xbox has had a bunch of different slogans throughout the years, but I think, yeah. So I don't think it was just the best place to play. I don't think that That feels that was. I'm not entirely sure, but it might have been like a PlayStation tagline at one point.
There.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be totally wrong on that. But the newest one is it's pretty simple. It's just power your dreams. Which that doesn't really say much about like gaming, but sure, okay. My dreams are powered.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, I'm just gonna say their motto was always about it being the best game. Blah blah blah, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I always felt like it was never true, and now it's like, we're if it was PlayStation's title limp like this, they are taking it by force.
They are definitely taking it by force, though. Like no matter how effective or ineffective the tagline is, like just the sheer weight of being able to purchase a company like Activision Blizzard with almost like nothing leading up to it, and just like at a drop of a hat. I mean, it's something. There's nothing leading up to it, but like without it being a bigger, I guess, like something that you would expect to happen. Like when a company like, say, like Bethesda gets purchased, it makes more sense because it's a much more affordable purchase for a company like Microsoft, and also like they were kind of not doing as well. But like with Activision Blizzard, it's like I don't think anyone was expecting it to get purchased. And so like no matter what, Phil Spencer has been pushing Xbox in any specific direction in terms of the marketing. Just the sheer force, the sheer weight of that purchase, it's just like it's on a whole other level. It's like it's on a whole completely different like dimension of existence in terms of like how much effect that's going to have for both Xbox's marketing and for how the public perceives Microsoft.
Yeah, and it makes all those things that I once said sound crazy now be believable. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You did predict a lot of this stuff happening too. You were saying this before a lot of these acquisitions.
But we can all speculate. And then to continue the speculation train going. So if you haven't heard, people, Netflix is making, I wanted to say anime, but they're making a Cuphead cartoon, which, is cool because Cuphead was made to look like a 60s cartoon, and now we're getting a 60s cartoon, which, that we got it in reverse this time. Usually it's a cartoon, then video game. We got the video game, then cartoon. Mm-hmm. And
I saw the trailer today for the first time.
Yeah, it looks spiffy.
It was spiffy. I loved it.
And, so Netflix, like honestly, if you're smart, if you're a company that's smart, video games are here. They're a huge industry, and it's just going to keep growing. And, any way you can get in with video games, you probably should if you can. But Netflix seems to keep beating this drum of, of gaming, I guess, licensing gaming things, movies, TV shows. And, per them, they don't plan on stopping. And also they want to get into streaming games. And I'm just wondering, as time goes on, we get peaks of what they say, but I wonder if Netflix is going to be able to shape gaming in a certain way going forward. Because I feel like, could you imagine? Okay, you're a small studio, right? Mm-hmm. Independent developer, or whatever, and you make a good game that could somehow also be marketed as a gaming universe for a show. For example, everyone's been talking about League of Legends after Arcane came out, how there's lots of League of Legends fans that actually have never played the game, but yet they're fans of the universe, the characters, etc. Mm-hmm. And that's true, but League of Legends was big. It didn't need this. But let's say you're a company that needs this. Will that change how people develop or make games with thinking about, I need to market this as a game, but as a universe that can be animated, made into movie extended stories is what I'm thinking could have a real impact depending on how well these game-based shows keep doing on Netflix.
I feel like it's one of those untapped like gold mines for people who want to write shows around like a popular IP. I feel like, there's so many different game universes out there that like that have like the sheer potential to be turned into just great TV shows. And I'm not saying Final Fantasy 14 is one of those, but I think Final Fantasy 14. But no, seriously, I feel like
we're gonna get some Advent Children back around.
Yeah, just keep making some Advent Children's. Just turn it into a whole TV series. It'll be the Final Fantasy 7 Advent Children universe. But like I like the direction Netflix is going, because I as a person who's grown up playing video games and who's have my imagination has just been captivated throughout my childhood, my life, by a lot of these game universes, and like The Witcher especially. Oh, I love The Witcher. Growing up as I played it on the PC before it was very popular when I was a teenager, and so seeing it as a TV show and seeing these characters come to life, and like I'm currently replaying like The Witcher 3 like as I watch the show. Which is special. Like, I don't really tweet about my my obsession with the Witcher series, but I've always been a huge fan of it. So yeah, I really do like this direction that Netflix is going in, and I feel like I said earlier, like there's a lot of untapped potential. I don't think it's like I feel like it's not like the wrong direction for them to go in, but I also don't feel like that they're gonna have much of a dent into like the games industry itself. Like, I don't see Netflix being a place where I would go to play the games. I would just go to Netflix to see more shows that are based on the games that I already like.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense, of course, because I guess ultimately I would need to know what's the reverse return of this. So clearly we're gamers, right? Me and you, Gabe, we game.
Yeah.
So
don't use the gamer word to me. I'm just kidding.
We don't use the G word here.
We don't use the G word here. Yeah.
But so how's this work in reverse? Okay, I'm someone that so by and large everyone plays games in some shape, form, or fashion.
Right.
But I wonder what's the opposite return. So people are gonna watch this Cuphead show, be like, "This is amazing. This is based off a game," and then would seek out the game. Like, I wonder, is there any how that works in return? And that's why I said smaller studios. I'll be curious to see. So Cuphead is made by a smaller studio, but Microsoft kind of funded the project, so they're not hurting for money per se. But
that's an interesting question, and like my dad is a huge TV watcher. He loves TV, he loves movies. He is not into gaming, but he has expressed interest. Like, he's heard about, I think there's like a Fallout TV show coming up. He wants to watch the Fallout TV show. He doesn't want to play the games. He doesn't want to know the universe. He wants to experience it through the TV. And I feel like it depends on maybe like the generation. So I think that like the older generations maybe not so much, but if you're like when you're a gamer like us, I feel like if you're exposed to something through a TV show first, I guess it makes sense that it'll work in reverse order. Like, I don't necessarily plan to play that much like League of Legends, but I would love to watch Arcane. And I feel like if it were one of those situations where like the universe grips me enough, because I haven't seen it yet, I have no clue if I'm gonna like it or not. But if I see it, I like it. I'm probably more likely personally to download League of Legends and give it a try. But like I said, it's different. Each person's different. Each generation's different.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Like I say, it's an untapped gold mine. It's something interesting. I would love to see this happen with a game. Okay, if they make a Mario TV show, big whoop, Nintendo's got money. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like, again, if they make this for like a small game, a slightly unknown game, like if we get here's a good example, like Super Giant Games. They're not huge. They're not tiny. They are a good example of being middle of the pack.
Right.
If Netflix makes a Hades TV show, or I guess any of their properties, but just Hades because it's the biggest. They should make one for Transistor. Transistor's really good. Yeah, I think Transistor are probably the best TV show because it has like a good definitive beginning, middle, end. It has the classic. I feel like Hades and stuff, you would have to do a lot of in between. You would have to fill in the gaps, but Transistor you wouldn't. It's just kind of all right there.
How would Hades work as a TV show? I'm curious to think about, like, because would it be like a backstory? Is it I haven't actually looked into it. Is it a real thing?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I figure Hades will work like, okay, so you have the premise. Zacharias is trying, to get out of hell, go see his mom. And then I guess you would have to pick certain gods, and he would like interact with Megara, interact with Death. I forgot Death's actual name in the game. And then you would have to have like those smaller, intimate character moments between certain characters and storylines, and that's how it would work. Again, like I said, there'll be a big fill in the gap thing. You know how it starts, you know how it ends, but you can kind of play around with the middle.
Yeah, I feel like I was kind of leaning towards was, you know, if they're gonna do some sort of TV show around Hades, that's the kind of thing where you'd want to have like backstories for the characters, so that like, I mean, like, have you watched I watched what was like the Brotherhood, oh god, what was it called? It was like the Final Fantasy 15, the Brotherhood something something TV series. It was like it's like an anime web series, or TV series or whatever it was. But it was like you had all these introductions to the characters, and it was like an episode format. And like when you played Final Fantasy 15, you really need to have that backstory and that context to really understand what's going on, because so much of that introduction is like inside the animes, inside the TV series. Hades TV series, like Hades doesn't need an introduction for any of its characters. Like it does a great job of introducing you to all of its characters as you play the game. But what could be really interesting as a supplementary to that is a TV series or a web series that's kind of like similar to the Final Fantasy 15 Brotherhood, where it's all based around, you know, like who is Megara to Zagreus, so like what is Zagreus's backstory, like who is Hades, like all that sort of stuff would be really interesting. I feel like, as someone who's played Hades a bunch, and like I already love the characters, but if I were to watch something around that, I would really be curious to know more about like what's their backstory.
Yeah, and I guess ultimately we're just spinning wheels and just saying what ifs and stuff. But I think it could be fun, and it with the way Netflix is going, because we already got Arcane, we're getting Cuphead, we got The Witcher. I could see where we just have a video game category, shows and movies based off video games, and I think it'll just be an interesting market, because I really feel like again, people, you might call me crazy, games maybe start being made with the intent and idea of selling a TV show.
But I feel like they always have been too.
You think so?
I think so. I feel like, ever since maybe like the late 90s, I mean, like, especially since like JRPGs ruled the land. Like you had like the big you had like Chrono Trigger and like Xenogears and like the mainline Final Fantasy games. I feel like since then, and even earlier, like even before then, like games have imagined universes that are so expansive that they belong on a much bigger screen. Like it's just been a matter of time for like, for the popularity of gaming to reach this critical mass where, the entertainment industry is taking enough of a notice to it, and like the fan base is, like, I guess I want to say like ready to be like monetized by the entertainment industry. But like it feels like we've reached a point where it makes a lot more sense for like Netflix and other streaming services, Amazon Prime, to start making shows that are going to appeal to this hardcore gaming fan base.
Yeah. And would you say they're just going to go in with the intent of making shows based off the universe, or making shows in a way to where you can enjoy this, but it's also made for people who've experienced the source material?
Oh, both. Easily both.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely both. But you know what I don't want to see is a lot of like retelling of the story, because I don't like the idea of video game stories being told through TV or movies. And I feel like I think Warcraft, the Warcraft movie, tried to do that. It doesn't work, because video game stories themselves are built around the medium. So like if you're setting stuff up in a game to be played by the player, and like you retell it through a TV show or movie, it's just not the same. But there are things like in that universe that are interesting that I want to continue exploring. And like, God, yeah, I would love to see a Fallout TV series if it's talking about, I don't know, like tell me about stuff about like the Brotherhood of Steel or like the Commonwealth, or like just give me more background information about what the games are telling me too. Because like when the two mediums work in tandem, like it's way more interesting to watch the TV series,
Yeah. No, I completely get maybe we will get to that point where watching the show is just as important as playing the game, and to fully see the grand vision, you have to experience both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly, I'll say that'll be more in the gamer's favor because, like you said, if you're solo just a TV watcher, then you're probably never going to play the game, especially if it's like a huge and sprawling world. Like, let's say they make a Metal Gear show, chance you're probably not going to play the Metal Gear game. It's probably too late for you if you haven't, started gaming already. But who knows? Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting to think about. It's interesting. Gaming is not going anywhere for a long time. Yeah. It'll be here until the sun burns out, as they say.
Exactly. And it's like I said earlier, like my dad loves watching TV and movies. So I would love to see like a great TV series, like a really good, really unique, individual, made for TV adaptation of like I said, Final Fantasy 14. Just gonna just say that. That'd be really great. Like,
keep
that'd be
putting
super
it in the
dope.
universe, huh?
I would be like, this is what I play. Like, Dad, come watch this with me. Like, this is the significance of Eorzea. Like, you got to know about Hydaelyn and Zodiac, like no. But yeah, no, I mean, I love this idea. I hope it doesn't become too much based around games just trying to be TV series or trying to be fodder for TV series. I feel like we've already kind of reached a point where games are trying to be movies. And that's definitely taken away from a lot of what has made gaming individual, or unique in the past. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like, my example here is like Uncharted. I don't like Uncharted. I feel like Uncharted is trying to be a movie as opposed to trying to be a game. I don't want to see that much in the way of that, but I would love to see more in the way of like expanding the worlds of the games that I already enjoy playing.
I feel that. And Gabe, real quick, for the people at home, where can they find you, keep up with you, hear all these interesting and unique takes on our beloved industry?
Unfortunately, I don't tweet good takes, but you can find me on Twitter. Usually just talking about like random stuff. You can find me on Twitter. That is twitter.com/Gabriel Moss PDX.
Oh man, I was about to say, did you forget your own Twitter handle, sir? Man, you gave us the whole web address.
Like I said, I also have SoundCloud. If you want to follow me on SoundCloud. Can I promote my SoundCloud?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I actually do. I'm not joking about that. My SoundCloud is. I have to find this too. Sorry. But it is ... Just give me like an extra minute here to log in. I actually don't remember what my SoundCloud is.
You can follow.
I do have one.
You can, while Gabe looks up that, you can follow the podcast on SoundCloud at Full Circle Podcast or Full Circle Productions. I actually don't remember which one, but you can follow the show at FC Podcast 23 on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, you can follow me at Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media, because we cool like that. Just keep it simple, one name, one sound.
Thank you for having me on, Odell.
No problem. Did you find your SoundCloud so we could check out your sweet music?
No, I had to do like a whole. If you wanted to like log in, you have to do the 2-factor authentication. And I'm like, if you follow me on Twitter, you're eventually gonna like see all my other stuff.
There you go. There you go.
It's good enough. Good enough.
There we go. So make sure you follow Gabe at twitter.com. And then find his SoundCloud and make sure you follow that SoundCloud so when he makes it big, you can be one of those people who's like, yo, bro, I was there before the fame. Day one.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for joining me. As always, everyone, have a great week and be blessed. Peace.